we're talking about a very important topic in mathematics known as quadratic equations. So and then let's move into the process. Let's delve into, and this video is meant to be a very quick a guide into the different approaches you can use for solving quadratic equations. For example, I have an equation on the board here, and then this equation is open bracket x minus 4 close bracket open bracket x plus 9 is equal close bracket is equal to 0. And then this is a basic example of quadratic equation, and then you base it on the principle that when you have two different terms, two terms that multiply each other, and then you have the product equals to 0, that means at least one of those terms must be 0. That means either x minus 4 close bracket is equal to 0, or open bracket x plus 9 is equal to 0. So let's remove the brackets. That means x minus 4 will be 0, or x plus 9. Removing the brackets, x plus 9 is equal to 0. So in other words, whenever we have this kind of equation, we want to make x the subject, right? So we have to move that minus 4 to the other side, or rather we can add 4 to both sides. So there are different ways of looking at it. You can either move the constant to the other side, or you add the opposite constant. That is the additive inverse of the constant to both sides. So basically, this time let's move the constant to the other side. So we have a constant of minus 4. Let's say x is equal to, when we move minus 4 to the other side, it becomes plus 4 or 4, or x is equal to minus 9. So and then if we plug x is equal to 4 into this equation, it will give us 0. It will be valid. If we plug x is equal to minus 9 into this equation, it will be valid. So that is what we know as quadratic equations. And then we have a method known as factorization. I'll quickly run over factorization method. Let me give an example. We have an equation 2x squared plus 13x is equal to 15. 2x squared plus 13x is equal to 15. Now in this method, what we'll basically be doing here is that we are going to move all our terms, both our constant terms and variable terms. We are moving them to the left hand side, and then one of our side will be 0. So if you move all the terms to the left hand side, then the opposite side will be 0. Then if you move all the terms to the right hand side, then your opposite side will be 0. So then let's move this 2x squared plus 13x is equal to 15. Let's move 15 to the left hand side. That will be 2x squared plus 13x minus 15 equals to 0. Now, looking at this equation, we are going to look for two numbers, because these are 3 terms. We cannot factorize these 3 terms. We can only factorize an even number of terms. So and then we have 2x squared, the first term, we have 13x, we have minus 15. So and then this method of factorization, you are going to multiply the coefficients on the first and the last term. Basically, you are going to multiply the coefficient of the x squared and the coefficient of the constant, or rather the constant. You multiply the coefficient of the x squared and the constant, or rather you also multiply the coefficient of the variable that has the highest power, which is x squared, times the value of the constant. That is, the variable of the coefficient that has the highest power is x squared. So the coefficient of that x squared is 2. So we multiply 2 by, and the constant is minus 15. That's 2 times minus 15. 2 times minus 15. That's minus 30. Now this minus 30, this your answer. Now when you multiply, you are going to look for two numbers whose product will give you that number you get. Two numbers whose product, two different numbers whose product will give you the minus 30, and then whose sum will give you the middle term. So going over again, when you multiply the first and the last coefficient, the first coefficient and the last constant, you get a new number, and that number you have to look for two numbers which multiplied will give that number, and then those two numbers at the same time which added will give the middle term. So in this example, we could use 15 and minus 2. So when we multiply 15 and minus 2, 15 times minus 2 will give us minus 30. And then when we add them, we have 15 plus minus 2. That's 15 minus 2. That will be 13. And that will give us the coefficient of the variable in the middle term. So let's use those. Let's plug those. So we have 2x squared. So we are going to replace that middle term by your two new terms. That will be 2x squared. We have 15 and minus 2. That will be 15x minus 2x. Then minus 15 is 0. So and then the essence of doing this in factorization is basically we want to have 4 terms, we want to have an even number of terms which we can factorize. So basically then we have let's say let's move them together. 2x squared minus 2x plus 15 plus 15, yes, minus plus 15x minus 15 is equal to 0. So we have, let's move, so we'll do what is known as factorization. So we'll collect the like terms. So the like terms in the first two, we'll collect the like terms of the first two, then we'll collect the like term of the last two. The like term of the first two is 2x, because when we have 2x squared minus 2x, what is common is 2x. So let's bring it out, let's factorize it out. 2x. Then when we open our brackets, when we bring out 2x squared, when we divide 2x squared by 2x, we'll have what is left. What is left is x. So write x. Then we'll put the middle sign. Then when we divide the second term by 2x, it will give us 1. That's x minus 1. We'll close the bracket. Then we'll move to the last two. So this is basically the method of factorization if you are just joining, and then it's basically when you multiply the first and the last coefficients, and then you look for two numbers that will multiply and give you that same coefficient, but when they add, they give the middle coefficient. So basically, moving on, what is common between 15x and minus 15 is 15, right? So let's bring that plus 15. Plus 15 is common. So when we open our bracket, we have plus 15x divided by 15, that's x. Then minus 15 divided by 15 is minus 1. So basically, we have our is equal to 0. Our 0 will still remain at the right hand side. And always remember that this is not an expression, this is an equation. You understand? So moving on now, we will now look at these two factorands. So we'll factorize this one, and then we have two different factors now. So we look for what is common to these ones. So then in the first factor we have 2x open bracket x minus 1. In the second one we have 15 open bracket x minus 1. So you can see that x minus 1 is common to both. So we are going to factorize. We are going to do another factorization where we bring out what is common, which is x minus 1. So let's x minus 1. So when we divide the first by x minus 1, x minus 1 cancel x minus 1 will remain 2x. When we divide the second by x minus 1, it remains 15. So we'll put that's plus 15. Then we'll close our bracket, then we'll say e equals to 0. Remember that 0 will still remain on your right hand side. So then you have two factors. You have open bracket x minus 1, close bracket, open bracket 2x plus 15 is equals to 0. Now these two, when you have two different terms multiplying each other, as I said earlier, at least one of them must be 0. So that means you can say either the x minus 1 is 0 or 2x plus 15 is 0. So we can say x minus 1 is equal to 0 or 2x plus 15 is equal to 0. So then we can further say that if x minus 1 is 0, then moving the minus 1 to the other side, that will be x is equal to 1. Or we can say if 2x plus 15 is 0, then we can say 2x will be equal to, moving that plus 15 to the other side, to the left hand side, we have minus 15. And the reason for that is that when you move coefficient to the opposite side, they change signs. Don't forget that. And even, the reason why I'm repeating this is that I know that many of you have know this basic stuff, but in mathematics, it's very easy to make mistakes. And I personally made such mistakes in my secondary school, so that's why I'm majorly repeating them. These simple things also matter. Now we also have x is equal to 1 or 2x is equal to minus 15. So we say x is equal to 1 or 2x is equal to 2. So we divide both sides by 2. So we have 2x divided by 2 is equal to minus 15 divided by 2. So we have 2 cancel 2. We have x is equal to minus 15 over 2. So that means either x is 1 or x is minus 15 over 2. So and then if you plug any of these into the equation, it will give you 0. Or in other words, it will satisfy your equation. So in summary, in this video we'll talk about the method of quadratic equations, the method of factorization. So when you factorize, and this is the method how you factorize in an